Well, hello again, everybody. This is John Norris at Trading Perspectives. As always, we have our good friend Sam Clement, and back by popular demand, Courtney Truss. How are y'all doing?
Doing great.
Hey, John.
Are you hanging on by a thread?
Hanging on by a thread, John.
All right. Well, if you're hanging on by a thread, and Sam, if you're hanging on by a thread, I would dare to guess it's because you've been to the grocery store recently to pick up a carton of eggs.
Yeah, I
Sam,
can't afford the dozens of eggs I buy every week.
How many dozens of eggs do you typically buy?
Like two. We go through 2 to 3 dozen a week.
Oh, come on. 3 dozen eggs?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I eat like 4 every morning.
How do you cook your eggs?
Just scrambled.
Every morning you scramble eggs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, how about you? How many eggs do you buy?
Well, recently, because I cannot find the eggs that I typically like, I have been, I have hoarded them, but we don't go through that many. I would say, having the scrambled eggs or even like fried egg is a special treat. So probably a carton every other week.
Okay, so Beth and I probably go through, on average, maybe 2 cartons every 3 weeks. Or 2 dozen eggs every 3 weeks, something like that. Not quite a dozen a week, but more than what Courtney does, and being so miserly with the eggs with her family. And the thing is, I'm going to play a little Forrest Gump for you. There are all kinds of things you can do with eggs. Sam, I like my scrambled eggs. I like fried eggs. Eggs that are easy, poached. I like hard-boiled eggs. Indeed, I'm kind of along the same line, I think. Deviled eggs. I like a good deviled eggs. Eggs and tuna salad. That's good stuff. And Sam's shaking his head, saying that sounds pretty disgusting.
That does sound pretty gross.
But the thing is, with eggs, there's so many different things you can do with them. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, the pleats in a chef's hat are supposed to represent the number of different ways that you can cook an egg.
Stop it. That's not true.
That's what I've been told, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So Sam, Courtney, everyone's complaining about the price of eggs, all that stuff. But what's really behind all this?
Well, largely the bird flu, it seems like.
So doesn't the FDA or someone have some kind of crazy rule that if a chicken even thinks about having bird flu, you got to kill them all
off? Yeah, you kill them all.
I would think. There's certain places when you're driving and you hit like a bird farm or where they're producing eggs, it smells so bad, and you look at the conditions in which a lot of
most cheap eggs you buy.
Gosh,
I try and buy
disgusting.
pasture-raised eggs. I think it makes a difference, but especially right now, it's pretty tough to do. That's talking $7, $8, sometimes $9 a dozen. And
where are you finding eggs for $9 a dozen?
If they're pasture-raised.
No, even if you get organic, it is $8 something. It's like $8.95 at the local grocery store for a dozen.
So if you guys are buying the organic, pasture-raised, all that type of
free
eggs,
range,
free range, would you be willing to buy the good old-fashioned raised in a pen, $4.99 a dozen?
No, I don't.
I know.
I refuse to get eggs if they're the cheap kinds that look anemic when you crack them.
I typically will get the brown, the fancy eggs.
Okay.
Before I try to stay at least with my brand loyalty, and then if I can't get any within the brand that I like to buy, I will either not buy or.
Let's see. Courtney's kind of brand conscious.
I am.
Far more so than I am. What is the brand of eggs that you like the best? Eggland? Eggland?
No, it's Eggs Best, Evie.
Okay. How about you?
Vital Farms.
I've never even heard of Vital.
Yeah, it's great.
Either.
Yeah.
Pasture raised,
Do you
fully
get that
outdoor.
only at the organic grocery stores?
No, they have them at Sam's Club.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The best eggs I can find, Northeast Alabama, Weiss Lake.
Yeah.
Eggs, they're actually quite good. And they don't cost $9 a dozen. Now, if Sam's buying 4 dozen eggs at $9 a dozen, that's $36
That's a lot of
each
eggs
week
before tax.
for eggs. And we're talking about before tax. You add state of Alabama.
Yeah, that's like $40.
$40.
Yeah, $40
so
on eggs.
every year, you just do a quick little math.
Now you're just
$40.
showing off.
You need to pull my calculator out.
No, I don't.
He's got it.
I got it, babe. The guy said little $2,800.
On eggs.
On eggs, $2,080 a year.
Now we do have a friend.
What do you think about that?
It's not great.
Well, that is after tax. We're looking at. He spends the gross equivalent of $3,000 a year on eggs.
Right. Well, and one of our friends.
Kind of makes you seem a little.
Yeah,
Maybe you should get some chickens.
Yeah, maybe I should if home would allow them.
Do they allow them?
No, they don't allow them.
So what are we supposed to do about eggs if all of a sudden the government says we got to murder our chickens? Government says we can't have chickens, And yet everyone's complaining about the price of eggs. It seems like something's screwed up. It seems as though the private enterprise system isn't being allowed to work. Courtney, your thoughts?
Well, in my community, you can have chickens, so I don't have the same restrictions that Sam has.
Why don't you get some chickens?
I could. We have a friend who has chickens, and they get eggs. I mean, frequently. But when you have your own chickens, you don't refrigerate the eggs.
You don't have to.
Yeah,
it's like
I didn't
Europe.
know that.
In Europe, they don't refrigerate eggs.
Right. So I actually think, John, you might see an increase in people purchasing hens. And we used to have a coworker, remember, that had hens, and he would bring the eggs to work. Do you remember that?
Barely.
7 years or so ago?
Yeah, that's been quite some time ago.
Yeah. Maybe you could, you'd have to move
Yeah, if
out
I
of
have to move,
Homewood.
maybe I'll move and get some chickens.
You see, if I...
Just get a little plot of land and have a little chicken coop on
You
it.
see, the problem with it is, I like eggs. Who doesn't like eggs?
Right.
But I like fried chicken even more. So what would happen is, I get these things, and one day...
You start loving them. They're like pets. You name them.
No, I wouldn't name it. It'd be 10 and 11 or 1, 2 or all that stuff.
Yeah.
As soon as you give an animal a name, it's a pet. And as soon as it's a pet, it's no longer a food source. So that's what happens to people that own the cows behind us up in northeast Alabama. They don't name their cows but for the bull. Everyone else is a number. And so it would be like I'd have chicken number 1, chicken number 2. As soon as chicken number 2 quit laying eggs, she'd end up in the boiling pot. Sam, your thoughts
Circle
on
of
that?
life.
It's kind of hard to argue with. I mean, why not? Not producing anymore.
Yeah. Hey, is that pretty brutal?
No, I mean, I think that's just the circle of life, and that's what you don't just need another chicken to feed.
It's a little
So you might
circle
as
of
well eat
life.
it. Yeah, circle of life.
So have you noticed any sort of disruption or change in the amount of eggs that you're willing to feed your family? You kind of alluded to it, but is it the same thing with, you talk about EB, Eggland's Best or Eggs Best or whatever it is. Do you have the same sense of brand loyalty to the egg producer as you do your creamer producer? Would you say that your egg demand is relatively inelastic or elastic? Understanding that your creamer demand is somewhat inelastic.
Oh, I don't know. You have to explain that a little bit more to me.
When prices go up, you buy the same amount?
No. I do not buy the same amount. Like, I have not actually run into the fact that I haven't been able to consume my creamer, but I definitely have not bought as much lately. And I will say for eggs, well, one, I can't find it again. It's so annoying. Like, I really wish that
yours is the one with like the cookie or the cupcake on it,
There's
right?
confetti, I thought.
Which one is it?
Sprinkles or something.
It had, well, for a while it had like this giant chocolate like cupcake with like peppermint, but I think that they've changed it now. I don't know.
Well, how do you find it now if you don't even know what it looks like?
I know the color. I mean, I just don't.
Because I can't find that creamer either.
Yeah, I mean, you really just have to get lucky in finding it. But for eggs, definitely, like, we will make sure that I don't cook a whole lot needing eggs and stuff like that. But I recently was able to find some and bought like an 18, so it will be good for a while.
A while.
Yeah.
It's a family of 6 over there. They're good for a while with 18 eggs, and you're knocking back 4
That's
a day.
like 2-3 days. Yeah, between the two of us, it's about 6 eggs a day.
See, I could totally see you being like a whites only person.
No,
Like you
the
only
yolk's
eat the egg whites.
the healthiest part.
I know, but I thought there was something with the protein is in the white part.
It is, but all the nutrients are in the yolk.
Yeah.
The yolk is really nothing more than the nucleus
Right.
in the egg or just the food for the embryo, the little chicken that was supposed to grow in there. But
That's so sad,
we've stopped the fertilization process so we can have scrambled
Well, I
eggs.
guess the chicken stopped the fertilization
Well, yeah.
process.
Well, the
Yeah.
rooster
If
stopped it.
we're really getting
There's
down
no
in the weeds a little
fertilization.
bit.
I mean, listen, this is a PG rated.
I know we're going to talk about
We're not
circle.
going to
go into that side of the circle
We're not
of
going to
life.
talk about that type of stuff. We're not going to talk about that type of stuff at all.
But this, I mean, it is a big deal in the sense that when you talk about everything that eggs play a role in.
I mean, my goodness. I mean, cake. You like cake.
I know. I mean, even like any type of baking, a lot of times you need
Cookies?
eggs.
Mayonnaise.
Yeah, mayonnaise.
Are eggs in shortbread?
I don't know. I don't cook a lot of shortbread.
Maybe.
Well, I think if they are, then thank you for the shortbread that you finally got around to giving us after
You're
your
welcome.
trip to
I was
to the
trying so
United
hard
Kingdom.
to be a smarty pants, and I really was late on that delivery.
No, but you're right about that. Think about all the things that you require an egg.
A lot.
And so just about everything seems to be
French toast.
Yeah, the inputs and all this stuff is going up. We mentioned egg drop soup,
Eggnog.
eggnog. Unfortunately enough,
more
that's more of a
seasonal.
seasonal thing. Hopefully, there won't be as much bird flu by the next time Santa's loading up his sleigh. If you catch my drift, an egg McMuffin sandwich. That's another input. So there's just all kinds.
I think
all
for
kinds
me,
of eggs.
my big expense is milk because I like to buy organic milk because it makes me feel better about what I'm giving my children. But it is more than double the cost of just regular a gallon milk, and we go through probably 2 or 3 gallons within a week and a half, and so that's something I cannot cut. Like I cannot cut milk out of my life. And I would rather give them the more expensive one, but I don't want to drop what Sam's dropping on eggs, on milk.
How about, do you drink a lot of milk?
No, I don't drink a lot of milk.
I don't drink a lot of milk either. Now, what happens when one of your children, and invariably it happens, will spill a glass of milk and you're spending that much money on milk? How bananas must you go, understanding that you're watching maybe a buck just kind of fall off the kitchen table onto the floor? And I don't think you have a dog to lick it up.
No, I don't. And it's very frustrating. It's more frustrating because I have to bend down and like clean it all up, and it goes everywhere. But I think for me, it's more of when your kids are like, I need milk. I'm so thirsty. I need milk. Okay, so then you pour everyone glasses of milk. And then inevitably they get sidetracked and they run away. But they had to have like a full cup. And then you go back and it's like 3/4 full and it's now room temperature and no one's going to drink that nasty milk. It's not like water that can just sit out. So you throw it, and like I have to just pour it down the drain. That's like I literally see dollars coming out of the cup as I'm like pouring.
Well, it's the same thing if you were to fix a bunch of scrambled eggs and your kids don't eat them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you think by the time the dust settles, the smoke clears, the cows come home, the chickens come home to roost, if you will, according,
Right.
do you think this spike in egg prices is going to fundamentally change how many eggs Americans in general consume?
Yes.
Probably not.
Oh.
All right, Train Perspectives, Courtney, I want you to explain why you feel that way.
I think inflation in general is changing. It's changing people's habits, and I think that people are now having to reassess. I mean, I grew up, and I remember there were times that we would just eat canned tuna. I mean, it was just what we could afford, and that's just. And I never knew as a child that there was anything different, but. You're not always going to have the privilege of having expensive produce available. And I think a lot of people are making those concessions now, and it's hitting a little bit harder. It was something you could absorb initially, like keep your lifestyle the same, but now people are, especially like you said, we have a large family. They consume a lot, so I'm definitely having to cut back on what I'm
I think
feeding
there's
them.
definitely areas of that, but I don't know if I would say eggs are the first layer of cutting back on.
Would you say eggs are more inelastic or elastic?
I think it's relatively inelastic. I'm sure there's maybe a little bit, but I think most people, if you're making something that needs eggs, guess what? Got to buy eggs and don't really have a choice.
The Jiffy cornbread mix requires an egg.
Yeah, it does. I think people will not make certain things if they don't have eggs. Like they'd probably be unwilling, whereas before maybe
It's
they
kind
would
of
go.
sad considering a lot of that's like birthday cakes and treats and things like that.
Yeah.
And we don't need to
But
be
do we?
eating
I
all
know
that
as I'll
stuff.
say, do we really need a lot
And,
of that?
and Courtney kind of mentioning, you're growing up having canned tuna. I still like canned tuna. So
Yeah,
to
I
me,
do
that
too.
doesn't seem like a real hardship. But I will tell you this. I used to frost my flakes, burn my biscuits, all these puns or cliches, whatever you want to call them. When I was growing up, the punishment meal was breakfast for dinner. That's when the monthly budget was stretched at the old NAR's
Yep,
house.
yep.
It was scrambled eggs and dry white toast, maybe a little butter, perhaps one piece of bacon, and my sister and I'd be, not again. But Sam, I gotta tell you right now, that punishment back then
Sounds pretty good.
sounds like a pretty good meal to me now. All the more so with eggs, close to your $9 a dozen.
Yeah.
I'm not paying $9 a dozen.
You kind of alluded.
No, I'm
what
saying
did you say
some of
earlier?
them- I go to Sam's Club. Even with the new
Yeah,
prices,
but they
it's
really
way
do
cheaper.
have them almost $9. Like if you go.
If
to
you go to
regular
like a
grocery
hot,
store.
So what's the name of this? Vitriol?
Vital Farms.
No, I'm
Yeah.
just saying regular
They're-
organic
it's
is
a-
that expensive.
Yeah, but
Now, what makes an egg organic and what makes it unorganic?
It's the chemicals used on the feed that they feed them, and then free range doesn't really mean a whole lot. That just means there's a small entrance or exit, I guess, from the barn to the pasture, I guess, and then pasture raised is the only thing that really means anything.
And
Just FYI.
what does that
It
mean?
means they're actually free range. They're living on the
Outside.
pastures. There's a certain amount of room per chicken outside, and they don't say vegetarian fed like the cheap eggs do, because chickens are not vegetarians.
Ew, what do they eat?
Bugs.
They'll even eat mice and things like that.
I thought I saw one documentary where they were actually eating other chickens. that
Chicken,
died.
yeah.
Like they were
Chickens
eating
are
other
not
chickens.
are not vegetarians. They're not herbivores or omnivores.
Eat whatever they can get.
Whatever they can get.
Well, listen, if you're pounding your face into the dirt trying to find food, whatever comes across the old gullet, you're going to eat, I think.
Grubs, worms,
Yeah,
flies.
worms. I guess I just don't think of like insects as.
Lots of
meat.
rodents, small rodents. Good stuff.
Kind of
If you
gross.
think of like hawks, I guess hawks are, they eat rodents.
Yeah, but I'm not eating hawk eggs.
It might be good.
Yeah, why not?
I don't know. I got a
Duck
lot of
eggs.
hogs around my house. Maybe I need to be
I don't
looking.
know if I've ever had a duck egg.
Duck eggs, quail eggs,
I've had quail eggs.
ostrich.
Now you can buy quail eggs at the grocery store.
Yeah, you can buy duck eggs too.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
Did you know that you can actually buy birds? You can buy birds online and have their eggs shipped to you before they hatch, and like actually hatch the bird.
It's not too surprising.
Why don't you do that?
Well, I had a friend who did it, but then
What kind of bird would you get?
Oh, I don't know a lot of bird species, but he got like a duck and a couple chickens, and they came shipped to him. I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool, but they all died. They all like a fox found them and killed them.
Oh, I thought you were going to say they all suffocated inside the box.
No, that'd be sad. I think they've worked out a distribution.
The USPS did poke holes in the box. And
Yeah.
Shook it up too
No
much.
little DOA. That's the way you
Little
like
scrambled.
your eggs.
I think it's funny that you said that growing up you hated having breakfast for dinner, because I love breakfast. It's probably my favorite meal. I love scrambled eggs, love bacon, biscuits, like the jelly. I mean, like I love tea because you get like the breakfast stuff with it. And so my children and I love breakfast for dinner, but Alex is similar to you. My husband, he hates breakfast for dinner.
And back when I was growing up, it felt like a punishment.
Yeah.
Also, soup and sandwiches.
Yeah, that seems more like a punishment.
Yeah, and frozen dinners. And you can tell from my size, my mother really just absolutely just punished me with the food, I was so malnourished as a kid, but I didn't like I like eggs a lot more as an adult than I did when I was a kid. And I really don't like paying what we're currently paying for eggs.
It's not fun.
What's that?
It's not fun.
No, it's not fun at all, because I would, when I fix scrambled eggs, probably 2.5, 3 of them.
Oh, we have to go 7 or 8. So it's pretty much an entire.
I'm talking about for myself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's I would say yesterday we had scrambled eggs. Made 5 of them, 5 eggs, and we had some to throw out because we also had turkey bacon as well as.
Yummy.
Yum.
It's not, but it's a step in the right direction to healthier living, and also some hash browns, which are not a step in the direction to healthier living whatsoever. So, but it is what it is. Eventually, I think egg prices will come down because it doesn't take too long to grow chicken. You
No.
can kill them, and about 2 or 3 months later, you can have another one back in there laying some eggs for you. That's just the way the circle of life goes.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. I don't know the whole maturity cycle, but it doesn't take them long to be mature enough to lay eggs.
Well, the thing
Is
is,
it less than
you,
it? I mean, you said
you
2
know
or 3
that chicken
months?
that you see in the grocery store, the pieces, all that stuff.
Yes.
Do you know how old that is?
Like 2 months.
Yeah, it's
Is
like
it
6 to
really?
8 weeks.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they grow so fast that they
Are
typically
they stuffing
die.
them with like steroids?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all kinds of
They
stuff.
can't even walk normally. They grow so fast.
Yeah, because
They're very top heavy.
well, we bred these things to where they have massive breasts. Chickens and turkeys. So
Yeah.
they have such massive breasts they can't fly. Well, not that
And they have
chickens
such bad
fly.
heart issues that in loud thunderstorms, a lot of them die.
But that's where we get our delicious eggs.
Yep. That's right.
All right,
And our
got-
chicken that we eat. So I'm sure there's lasting ramifications.
What
Oh,
you
yeah.
need to do is, if you're not going to buy the organic kind of scrawny chicken, make sure that you brine your chicken the salt will suck out a lot of the badness inside your factory raised chicken. At least that's what someone told me. I'm not sure if I believe it, but it makes me feel better.
If it makes you feel better.
If it makes me happy, it can't be that bad.
Yeah.
To quote Sheryl Crow, I think. Well, guys, thank you all so much for listening. We always love to hear from you. Also, if you have any comments or questions, please, by all means, let us know. You can always drop us a line at tradingperspectives@oakworth.com, or you can leave us a review on the podcast outlet of your choice. If not, you can always go on to oakworth.com, take a look underneath the Thought Leadership tab, and find all kinds of exciting information. And Sam, I'm not sure I've read that one correctly, but
I think you got the point
I
across.
think I got the point across. Make sure you go to oakworth.com. Guys, I'm going to give you one last chance to say something super awesome about the high price of eggs in the U.S. economy.
That's all I got.
That's it, John.
That's all I've got to do, too. Y'all take care.